welcome to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight. It is Monday night, 8 o'clock. It's November 30th, last day of the month. Can't believe it. It's gone. Today was raining all day, but I'd rather take rain than snow. That's for sure. All right, so I'm going to talk about my weekend real quick and then get to my guest. Everyone celebrated Thanksgiving on Thursday in a very different way this year. I hosted. There were 9 of us. It was great to have my family here, and it was not that big, huge traditional Italian Thanksgiving that we used to, where we usually have 25 to 30 people and the antipasto and the pasta and the whole big thing. This was just turkey and the fixings, and you know what? It was nice. It was nice. It was just nice. It was simple and nice. All right, and then the rest of the weekend, I really spent taking down all my fall decor and putting up all my Christmas stuff. And so next week behind me, you'll see my holiday stuff behind me. It's the only part of the house I didn't do yet, but and that's it. And I want to wish my godmother, Marie, a very happy and healthy birthday. You're in Florida and I miss you and I love you so much. And I wish you many, many, many more happy and healthy birthdays. And really, really quickly, someone nominated Tea Time for Best of Long Island Bethpage podcast. And I'm just so thrilled that I'm nominated, but hey, I'd like to win. Why not? So that means I have to ask you votes. So when you get a chance, please Google Best of Long Island Bethpage. Click on Arts and Entertainment, click on Podcast, click on Tea Time. And vote. You can vote every day up until December 15th. All right. And that's it. That's my shtick. And now I want to introduce a friend of mine who is a comedian. He's a singer. He's an impressionist. He's an actor. He's done it all also. Billy Mira is in the house. Hello, Billy. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Teresa?
How you doing?
Doing good. I'm doing
I'm
good.
glad. I'm happy to hear it. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was quiet as well.
Yeah.
The pandemic Thanksgiving. It was smaller than usual.
Yeah.
Or else we risked being arrested and pulled out like like the Gestapo. The Thanksgiving Gestapo was at the front door, but we didn't have to deal with any of that because we kept it pretty small. And
Yeah.
the funniest thing about Thanksgiving is actually my mom came over and she cooked, and you would have thought I heard this across the board from a lot of people that moms came and they cook like they were cooking for 30 people, and there were like 4 people there, and it's funny. We were eating leftovers. I still have Thanksgiving hangover. I mean, I'm sitting at my bar eating, food, and I'm like, I gotta finish all this food. You feel the obligation to have to finish that. I don't know what the story is with that, but it's like, I don't care how much weight I'm gonna put on. I'm gonna finish this food before it goes bad.
I know, and I know, and my mother, everyone just. I don't usually host Thanksgiving. My sister does, but she's in the process of having a house built. And because of COVID, that had come to a complete stop. So I said, I'll host it because my brother wanted to host it. And I said, you do Christmas Eve, I'll host it. So everyone really pitched in, and my sister brought the turkey, and I made my mother's famous artichoke pie, which was amazing. And my mother makes the stuffing, and it's Italian stuffing. Okay. So she makes it with the rice and the chopped meat and the sausage and the celery and the onion. And it's so good. And it tastes so much better the day after. But everyone, American tradition is you put bread or you put, breadcrumbs, or we don't make it that way. But anyway, yes, it tasted much better the day after. It soaks up the flavor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, you feel obligated. You have to eat it. You can't, I gave away a lot of stuff. Take it home, take it home, take it home. But then, you want to keep some stuff.
I refrigerated before I poured cake in there. It was like, look at all this beautiful cake that's still sitting there. I really ordered like there were 30 people coming. It was hysterical, But I'm still eating it, and it's we're going on Tuesday tomorrow. To the point where you're going to do the smell test soon. You're going to be like pulling stuff out, going, "Is this good still? Is this good still? Do I have to wrap this up?" Yeah, is this good still? That's it. The dogs will get it outside of the squirrels.
So listen, I want everyone to get to know you. Shout out to my girl Gina, who just celebrated the big 5-0 and looks fantastic and gorgeous. Thanks, Gina, for tuning in. You're a Long Island boy, right?
Yes.
You're originally from Westbury?
Yes.
And you went to W.T. Clark High School, but then you also went to East Meadow High School? Did you go to both?
Yes, I did. I went to 2 high schools.
Okay.
I went to I started out at Clark, and then I transferred over to East Meadow High School for my last 2 years. Well, I actually went over there for a course, and I liked it so much. I hated going back and forth. So my 11th grade year, I got in the bus, and they would take me back and forth, and I really made so many friends over in the other school
Yeah.
that I was like, I'm like, wow. And then I was meeting all these different people, and I said, it just, it stunk. It was like half the day would start, and then I'd get on a bus and I'd be back at Clark. And I'm like, I already have those friends. I mean, those are people I see all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a lot of new people I'm meeting over here. So my 12th grade year, I just transferred. And in those days, I guess you could pull that off. And we did it. And my 12th grade year ended up at East Meadow High School, and that's where I ended off. So yeah,
Graduated from, and then you went off to do some. You studied at Nassau Community College.
yes, I did. You did your
Yes, you
homework.
did. Yeah, look
You
at
did your
me.
homework. You did your homework.
I tried. I tried.
It's the
So
community.
listen,
Yeah, but
listen. What I want to know is that as a kid, how were you as a kid? Were you funny? Were you always singing around the house? Were you impersonating your teacher? Where did it all begin for Billy Mira?
well, yeah. So I can remember sitting in front of the television. As a kid, like every kid in the '60s and '70s, and watching, and just, being engulfed in television, and it was a whole different thing in those days. It meant a lot. And the first thing I remembered was like James Bond. Like I was a little kid, my parents were bringing me to on Christmas Eve to go see James Bond. If a new James Bond movie came out, I can remember like it was yesterday. So James Bond, I would impersonate. But the first thing that really captured me was when I got into my teens. Believe it or not, was Eddie Murphy. It was on
Really?
tape. I always tell the story. It was on a tape that somebody gave me. I had a friend, Adam, who gave me, and it was just marked Eddie Murphy. And I didn't know who he was. I had no idea that he was the guy on SNL who was just starting out at the time. I put the tape in, and I just listened to the tape over and over again to the point where I walked into the lunchroom at school, and I just started verbatim saying the whole thing. And that was when I kind of had an idea, but I didn't know anything about, this is a talent. In those days, you just think everybody does this.
Right.
So
Right.
that's basically how it started. And then I had a theater. I was drawn to the theater and music because of a music teacher that I had. And, these people, something I never really talk about enough is how influential, and so it's important, especially if anybody's a teacher out there, how influential you are on a child's life. Because if it wasn't for a music teacher when I was young that had said to me, I remember she would stop and she would point to me, you got a good voice, she would say something like that. And then I remember I excelled in the arts in that aspect.
Right.
So that gave me the confidence to kind of step forward and say, well, I'd like to sing a solo here. I'd like to do that. And I'd like to get involved with plays. And I remember in 5th grade, I was always, I remember my teacher wanted me in every play. Like we would, I guess every class puts on their plays. And that's when I kind of said, maybe there's something here. But I knew that I was just a little, as outgoing as I was, when you're young, you're just a little insecure and shy. So that you have to kind of get through that. So that took a couple of years. But once that piece was over, it was, the rest was, where I am today in this lovely room.
So your first impersonation was of Eddie Murphy then?
No. I used to impersonate a lot of people, but the first thing that I remember really focusing on was Eddie Murphy, his first album.
Was him, right.
And it's still something that I've never really pulled out, and I'm gonna do it eventually one day. And it's I might even wait till one of my dreams is, and I've had a couple of bucket list moments in my life, in my career, and is when I want to eventually work with him or do something with him, and I think that's when I'm going to pull it out somewhere.
Yeah. That's it. You put it out into the universe. That's what you do. Put it out there, because you never know. I'm making a list right now. Well, before the show, I made a list of all the guests that I'm going to have on in 2021. And a couple of them I am speaking to, so I know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And then a few of them I haven't talked to at all, but I'm still, it's still on the list. So you come out of school, and what are you doing with yourself?
So, I just, it was all about music. And I remember in those years, I was reading like Hit Parade magazine, Cream magazine, all those magazines. And I remember, it was either LA, or it was the music scene. I wanted to be involved with that whole music thing, the explosion of pop metal that was happening at the time. The Motley Crues and the Van Halens. I was really a big
Yeah.
Motley Crue Van Halen guy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that, and I thought about going to LA. And
Yeah.
but I wound up actually meeting some guys here. Went to Florida for a while when I was around 19. And then I came back because right before I left, I had met a couple of guys, and I said, there might be something here. So after a while, when I went down to Florida, because my move was to go to Florida and then go over to Los Angeles. That was my dream. I was going to wind up in Los Angeles, and I really would have loved to have still. I often wonder what that have been like, but
I know.
yeah, But I wound up meeting these guys, and we wound up forming a band. And our job was to get up and rehearse every day, like people go to work.
Yep.
So that's what we did. We got up every day and at 10 o'clock, and I didn't do the school thing, which was tough too, even because when I wanted to go to school, it was like, I remember, what are you going to school for?
Right.
I don't know. I kind of have an interest in learning a thing or two. I don't know. This music thing may not work out, and
right.
And if I could go, but I remember just doing that, and we wound up doing it here and starting a pop metal band. And we had moderate success. When I say moderate, in the club scene, whatever that is for local. And then we were able to, at the end of our career, we actually secured a record deal. But we were nominated in 1989 for Best Unsigned Band in New York. I remember that was at the Beacon.
That's so cool.
And Debbie Gibson was big, Living Color, White Lion, and these are the bands, the people that we wanted to. Rosie O'Donnell was a new comedian at the time, hosting the band. Yeah. And it was that was like my first taste of being involved in that whole thing, and saying
that's when you had nicer looking hair than I did.
Yeah, I had hair down to here. I had a waist about this big.
You had I'm looking at pictures and I'm like, God, I'd kill for that hair. It was gorgeous.
I did. I had hair like it's so funny. Yeah.
He had that natural wave going on and everything that people pay for.
Yeah. And that's crazy. Thank God, at my age, I still have hair. That's the one thing I say. Please, God, don't take the hair. There's a couple things, and that's one of the things on the list. Don't take the hair.
Don't take the hair. Please,
don't take the genitalia, and don't take the hair.
So you were with you were with that band, and you were nominated in 1989. That must have been so thrilling.
Yeah, and then it was for Best Unsigned Band at the time, but that was notoriety. We had been together for about 2 years at that point, and we were already headlining clubs, local clubs here in New York, and somebody from working at MTV had heard a tape and took us under their wing and said, these guys may have something. That was one thing everybody would always look at us, because I was a pretty entertaining front man. So everybody was
right. Yes.
Here, there's something here. There's something here. They need like a producer. They need something. They're gonna they could make it big. So so at first was just, hey, listen, let's get these guys nominated, and we got in there. We didn't win, and we lost to whatever band it was. But
did you play on the island and in the city? Did you play all over back then?
Yeah, we were more focused on mastering our universe here. And so, that was hard enough. We didn't have Facebook in those days. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have all of these mediums that kids have now that, everything at their fingertips. If you wanted to promote a show, it was flyers. That's how you did it. It was flyers and write-ups. And we were lucky enough that local writers, from everybody from God, bless him, to John Blend, to all sorts of writers that were around at the time that had covered us and had given us exposure. That was the exposure. You go open up Good Times Magazine, Islandier, or whatever it was at the time. And that's where your exposure was. That was a big thing in those days, to be in those magazines and to be recognized there. And then, of course, naturally, we did some local, New York television shows. Yeah. And that was another thing that just gave us more exposure. So everybody thought we were a signed band. It was, it was one, it's, they say you're, illusion, fake it till you make it.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody thought that, so the clubs would fill, and we'd have, the girl, naturally, like every, metal rock band at the time, the girls and everything else. And so, I did that. And then in 91, 92, we actually signed a legit record deal, and music changed in like overnight. It was like boom, went right into grunge. So it was very difficult. So a band like
Yeah, grunge came and changed a lot of things for a lot of people.
yeah, yeah, and I probably could if I would go back to my career and look at it, I definitely would have done a bunch of stuff different. Everybody always, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have probably have been more involved with acting and did a whole bunch of stuff. I didn't start.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about your acting days, shall we? Don't go away, everybody. We'll be right back. So where do you want to go tonight?
Are you bored?
Oh my God.
Hold on tight. We're going to Coasters.
Coasters Tavern is located at 487 New Bridge Road in East Meadow. Their number's 516-557-2222.
Well, hi there, Teresa. It's John York from General Hospital. I am just checking in because apparently you have a great talk show called Tea Time on Strong Island TV. I want you to have continued great success and have a lot of fun. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun, and that's pretty much the key to everything, isn't it? So continued success. I'm proud of you. Have a great day, Teresa. Bye.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight because comedian, singer, impressionist, actor, my friend Billy Mira is here with me, and I'm so happy you're taking the time out to spend some time with me, Billy. I haven't seen you in a while physically. Well, actually, that's not true. We saw you at the band show, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I want to talk about acting. You've got some creds going on here, and let's see. You've done in 2006. You did a thing called Stern on Demand, and which we're going to get to. But I want to know about you did something called A Couple of Bitches, which was a short back in 2005.
Yeah, I can't believe you knew a couple of it. Yeah, there was a couple of bitches. It was a short I did with Jason Katz and Justin Ciccatelli and Sal Governale from the Stern Show.
Yeah,
we did it, and yeah, my God, and it was written by Jason and Justin, but those guys went on actually from working. They were two guys that used to travel around, and they would come to my shows back in 20 years ago, and they would film my shows. And I have a lot of great footage that I otherwise would not have had. You gotta remember, this is the days before cell phones, and people had videos everywhere they would go. And there were these two guys that used to travel around with me, and
right.
They were enamored with that world at the time.
Right.
And they were like talented young guys that were just exploring things of producing their own material. Well, when you know it, those same guys would go on to work on Howard Television from following me around. And
Right.
the other guys would pick up on their talent. And, one thing led to another, that where he became a top producer, and now he's like an award-winning director and editor, and it's crazy.
It's wild, right? Is it wild? The journey is wild.
Shorts. I also did another one with him called Hitting the Mark.
Okay.
You can find it if you Google it. It's with me, Mike Buschetti, Mickey DiNicola, and it's actually it's a little disturbing. It's a little like you watch it. It's a little shocking at first. It's not gory or anything. It's just it's a it's a little over the top,
All
but
right.
it's very funny if you get it. It's another.
You were in a movie in 2012 called 1,000 times more, but then
That's-
they changed it to Brutal.
that's-
They changed the
yeah.
movie to Brutal, and that was with Federico Castelluccio and Peter Green and Arthur J. Nascarelli, about four friends, and you were in that. That looks really good.
Yeah, no, it was done. It's like a very Scorsese type of film that was done, and it's based around Brooklyn and Coney Island. And it's about a couple of gangsters that rip off another gangster, and then of course naturally, they have a brutal ending. and I'm happy to be part with. It was great to work with Peter Green and be involved with that. I think one of the other actors, because I'm senile, I forget his name. He's just an Ant-Man too. He was another film that he was in. But I was the whole climax scene, where they get shot and they get killed, and so yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I've done stuff like the SNL. I did a lot of cartoons, animation stuff.
Yeah.
It's great.
Tell me about Big Meals, Small Places.
That's my buddy Sal Governale's food show.
That's Sal's, right?
Sal Governale's. He's actually a very talented cook, Sal. And every once in a while, he goes on producing with Doug Goodstein and a couple of other partners that they have, and they put out these food shows. And I think Sal's a very creative, really, really creative guy, and he comes up with all these weird recipes. And I remember he came to me and he said to me, "I want you to do, and it's all celebrities doing like that he'll have on with him, and I want you to do voices." So I'm like, all right, so I want you to do every time we introduce something new, do a different character. So it was just crazy things, but we had a lot of fun. Sal's a great guy. He is, one of my best friends in the whole world.
Yes, I know you do a lot. You do a lot with him. I'd love to have him on the show. Pass the message along. 2006, you did Stern on Demand, and then you did Good Morning Howard. And I want to know how did you get to the Stern Show, and you did David Lee Roth. You were, you were David Lee Roth, and
a lot of people, yeah. So a lot of the real hardcore fans remember that I actually started as Ozzy Osbourne on the show.
On Ozzy, right? You started out as Ozzy, yeah.
As Ozzy on the show back in 2002.
And how did that all happen? How did that
So
take place?
That was once again Sal Governale. That's why I would say Sal discovered me. I've talked about this how these events happen to Norwegian, but long story short, I called into the Stern Show. Howard hung up on me. I was really depressed about it. I was like, wow, I thought I did the greatest impressions. And I had been doing them locally, like I did them on my buddy Rob Rush's show, 94.3, when he was on The Bone back then.
Yeah.
And I would Donna from BAB, and there were other radio personalities who started showcasing what I was doing with the Stern thing. When you get on Stern, it's that moment you blow up. It's a whole different. And in those years, he was worldwide. It wasn't even just like locally. I mean, he was everywhere. I mean, I used to remember getting fan mail from the troops, and it was insane, from people from Canada, all over the place. But anyway, so Sal, I ran into him, and he was the one who had said, I spoke to a local friend of mine who you probably heard of, Tony Landolfi, who was another fellow comedian, who had been already established kind of on the scene. And he said, my cousin is associated with the Howard Stern Show. And he turned around and he goes, you're the guy who did the Ozzy Osbourne on the show. And I said, yeah, this is exactly, we've talked about it on stage. We've done it in front of theater audiences. I've told this whole story because it's a crazy 1 in a million. Like, you go and you do it, and then that night you go out and you meet somebody from the show, and they're like, I'm going to make you're going to, in a week, everybody's going to know that you do that. That's
it. He was like your fairy godfather.
Yeah. So, right. He's always on my shoulder, Sal, Yeah, we're always there for each other. Like I said, I love working with Sal,
Yeah.
So some people in the industry that you're very loyal to and he'll do anything for. He's one of those people. I love him like a brother. So yeah, and within a week, I had a bit that it's unheard of. I always talk about this because it's great. And it is on YouTube. If you can find old bits in places, like marked different places. I always love going through YouTube and finding stuff. And it was like a 15-minute long bit. It's unheard of. They're 3 minutes tops, any bit. And Howard played it 2 days in a row. And it involved like 4 or 5 different personalities. And when I remember hearing it that moment, I didn't think they were going to play it. I did not think that Howard.
Really?
Yeah, I did not think he was going to play a bit that was that long. And not that I think that he's going to play this unknown guy that, he's going to start playing these bits of this guy who's an impersonator that he just hung up on. So I forgot about it until I heard it and I was driving.
Wow.
And then that's when it started because in those years, Ozzy was hot. He was out with the Osbourne show. So that's when everything starts opening because all of a sudden it's like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And within a year, it was like a year straight of Ozzy until I went on that September 11th. I went on the show live in the studio a year later. And
How was that?
That was amazing. It was amazing working with Howard. I remember I dressed up as Ozzy. I had the whole outfit on. The host of Survivor was there. It was Howard, and Howard just cracked up that I came in as Ozzy. I came in character,
Wow.
and I was like walking into a television screen. And from that moment on, for the next, I would say year and a half, I did Ozzy. It was all Ozzy stuff.
Right.
But what happened was, Gary came to me one day and said, what other impressions do you do? And I said, David Lee Roth. I just happened to say, I do David Lee. I do a ton of them, but I just happened to say David Lee Roth.
Right.
And because I was thinking rock guys, and he was like, you got to be kidding me. Do some Roth for me. Like, how you doing? And I started talking to him. Let me tell you something, Gary. What's a legend got to do for a lap dancer around here, And he was like, oh, that's amazing. Could you come in? And I said, yeah, I'll work on the character a little bit, and I'll be back here in a week. And sure as shit, Howard had me on, and it was one of those other situations, this like breakout moment. And he was like, we're doing that all the time now. So for the next 2 years, we came up with bits, phone call bits, and I think we were the first to do that. And that was part of the working with, it was a really great thing. There was the Sal, Richard, me mix. I was under there because those guys are brilliant with that stuff.
Yeah.
They orchestrate a lot. Let's do David Lee Roth. Nobody did celebrity voices doing, kind of prank phone calls.
Right.
So we took the character of David Lee Roth, and I would always add in these metal screams, these screams. And I said, that makes it hysterical. So let's kind of create this character. And we started doing all these phone calls, and the bits blew up on Stern. And from that, you couldn't ask for more. Like I said, timing is everything in this industry.
Yeah, timing is everything. Amen.
I announced that in 2005, that David Lee Roth was going to be taking over for Howard, and then I went in and took over the Howard Stern show. I'm the only person in the history of that show that did that, and I sat there and I was in Howard's chair, and it was and like I said, once again, before Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was great. So then that took off from there, and then the rest is history. And all the people I worked with after that.
Wow, it's.
And I never get tired of talking about that because those moments you'll never can't relive.
Yeah, they're pivotal. They're pivotal moments in your life that just takes you the next step and the next step and the next step, and it's. You look back and you go, wow! At that time, at that moment, everything just fell into place. You know what I mean? Yeah. It legitimizes everything. Yeah.
Not so much.
It validates you.
It does. It validates you, and then all of a sudden, people are, now you walk in with a different air. You walk in places, and it's, especially in those years, it was like crazy. And then I'm, going out on the road, and I had to go, and I would go to the Howard affiliate states, and it was an amazing time. It really was. It was awesome. And I always say, no matter what I ever do from here on in, those years were a lot of fun.
Yeah. I can imagine. Really. Did you work with Jackie Martling a lot as far as writing stuff?
Fun by the time I was the Artie Lang era of the show. I was after 2002. I was more of that, era where, comedians like Bob Levy were on the show, and Florentine and Yucko the Clown and all those guys.
Yeah.
Artie. So it was really magical. I met the magical years. So the second part of magical years. The first part is naturally the Jackie the Joke Man years. But then there were Artie years, and I was proud to be part of those years. I ran into Jackie. Jackie was always very cordial. He's always very cordial, Jackie.
Yeah. It's I've heard some stories from you. I've from the past, and I don't get tired of hearing about them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like seeing such joy on your face I appreciate sharing in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I always talk about it. I never get tired because it's always everybody always asks me, what was that moment like? And there's been other people. There's been a lot of people, that have experienced the same thing more so,
Yeah.
and less. And but when you're a part of it in those years, it's just something that never goes away. I think I could be in the biggest. I'm not even kidding when I say this. I could be in the biggest. I've been invited to everything. I've done a lot of stuff that I really don't even, I don't talk about. I never get to in interviews because everybody always asks, "What's that moment like?" Because everybody was always intrigued of the Stern Show in those years.
Right.
It was it was like a rocket ship that just kept going. And it was just to be part of it was larger than life. It was, it's crazy.
Yeah. No, I get it. I
It was
totally
very
get it.
creative. I could take, because I'm a little bit of a savant, in a lot of aspects. You could take these things that you have in your head, and Howard was always very creative in making them work somehow. Very brilliant in that aspect. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I love the story. I never get tired hearing about it. Well, we're gonna take another quick break, and we'll be back with Billy. Don't go away. Don't go away, because there's gonna be a lot more. Stay there.
So where do you want to go tonight?
Why don't we go to Coasters?
Oh, cool. I heard it's a great place. Let's check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Oh my God.
Coasters Tavern is located at 487 New Bridge Road in East Meadow. Their number's 516-557-2222.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight. Hello everybody who's watching and listening. Rob Rush is watching and listening, and Gina and Frank, and thank you everyone for tuning in and liking the show and sharing it. I'm with my friend, he's a comedian, singer, impressionist, actor. Billy Mira is in the house, and I want to talk really briefly. You were the voice and creator of the MMA Fight Corner on Fox Sports 920 in Vegas.
Yes. Fox 5 TV.
It aired on UFC Radio and Fox TV Las Vegas.
UFC Radio. So it was that was great. That was a fluke. That was another thing. I used to be up at Sirius, and I started going on as Billy Mira. I as a fan I went on, and I got involved. It was just one of those things I fell into. It was not something I even planned. I had built a studio, and one of the guys had left the Sirius show and said, "Look, would you like to do something?" Because I would come in every Friday and do a comedic rant. I was all about the comedy. So I was a huge UFC fan. So I said, I'll come in, and they were fans of what I did, and I was forthright, and I said, "Look, I'm not extremely knowledgeable like you guys, but I can host. Like I'm the guy, like a Mike Goldberg. You sit on there. Let me tell you what's coming on. And so I'm good at that stuff, But breaking down fights and going into the whole analytics and stuff like that, it's just too in depth for me. So we developed a show that I started breaking blockbuster, really big stories out of my studio in those years. And that was before the UFC had signed a huge $700 million Fox deal. And somebody caught wind and said, we'd like to take this show. Because there was a couple of big shows that were cropping up. And somebody said, I want to own something this is already, that somebody close to the UFC had said, I want to own something and get involved with something that's, already taken off. It's got some kind of notable personalities. I was a notable personality. And we picked it up, and I had some good friends of mine that were really knowledgeable about the sport. And we did the best we could with it. I had a nice run for 2 years, and some of those people have gone on to do some great things, and it was a lot of fun. Like once again, I was in Vegas for 2 years on Fox and on a network show, and it had its ups and downs.
Did you come back to New York after that?
Yes, I did. I came back to New York, and that's where I came out. I always talk about it. The idea of where did I get the idea for Billy Mira and the Hitmen? I had always had the idea for a lounge type of personality for years. It was always like in the back of my head. I would always see it, and I'd always kind of like push it aside. And then when I got there, it came to life. I was like, Billy Mira and the Hitmen. Because I had already had a band, and I said I could use that connotation to hits.
Right.
New York stock. I could see it in lights. Billy Mira. So I said, you know what? I want to write this show, and that's where I came out. It was like a variety show. And I would pass the casinos, and I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be doing this over here. So I said, if I come back, I'm coming back with a headlining, show in Vegas, which takes a long time.
And Billy Mira and the Hitman is a Vegas style Americana big band with a little bit of edge. You do Tom Jones, you do Elvis, you do the Stray Cats, you do Queen.
I borrow everything, music that's relevant to me, to move to what I do. It's not, it is a band. We do band shows, and it's because I love doing it. I'll sing a lot of different styles of music, but the songs in the show fit with things that I say. So it kind of works and moves the show in that direction.
Right. There's a flow. There's a flow to it.
There's a flow to it. And the best way to see it is
live.
In a theater. In a theater with production and assistants and light crew and that's really where everything is like this. And
it's a big production, and you know what it is I love big bands. I love that stuff. And I forget who there was a past guest, I forget who it was. We were talking about big bands, and I remember going to see years ago a Tommy Dorsey band and like loving every moment of it. That's I think when I fell in love with horns and the whole vibe. You know what I mean? It's just it speaks to my soul, and I loved it. I'm like, this is great. And it's not something you hear all the time. It's not mainstream, unfortunately.
Exactly. How many times do you go out and see a band that's a big band, has a real horn section that's got, unless they have like 3 of them. And I said, I want to do something that's like that looks Vegas. Nobody gets. I said, I really just intrigued me, and I'm glad I did. I really am.
So, did you guys you formed the band back in when?
2014. Well, I actually formed it. Actually, the original version of the show. This is when I was developing it. Actually had AJ Piro from Twisted Sister involved about a year before he died. He passed away.
Yeah.
And that was like the first guys I had, he was involved. He would have been, it's just, it was, he went out on tour and unfortunately never came back. He was like, I'll come back. And I worked with some great local Long Island guys and, guys that helped me really develop it and that were instrumental in everything. Working it and watching it develop was just as fun, frustrating. We had to work through certain things. How do I make this treatment come alive on stage? And that was very difficult. It really was. It was not an easy run to do it. But
you throw in some some stories, and you throw in some.
So we start in 2014, and thanks to my sister because they were really helped me launch it and kind of I remember doing a gig with them, and I used to open for Twisted Sister. And I did some things. I still work a lot with them, all the guys in TS, Mark Mendoza, JJ French, all those guys are good friends of mine. And, they really helped me get it out there and was very supportive in those years. But from 2015, 14, it really took until 2017 to kind of figure out what we were doing with this because things I was doing live weren't, you had to work it out. It's like a comedian, if you're a comedian, you got to work these bits out. Right. So that's the only thing. Yeah. And then Sal will help me write bits, and I'll have friends that'll help me write bits. So it's been a bit of and then, now COVID, we were kind of getting into a stride. We really want to do a lot of great things this year. And then everything got to,
I know. I mean, I came to see you. You were live at the band shell in Valley Stream, and I'm so glad I came that night.
That's right.
And we were social distancing outside and in chairs, and it was, it was lovely. I had a great time. It was a fun night. It's, what it is I don't know. I left your show so uplifted. It's like I didn't want the night to end. I wanted more. And I think actually the crowd was yelling encore, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't want you to stop.
Yeah. Stop,
And
please. Encore. Stop. Oh, I want to do one more.
but it's the type of music that, I know I appreciate, and a lot of people appreciate it. And it's nice that, you and other artists, try to keep that, genre alive.
That was the one show, we did a theater show earlier this year. We did a couple of theater shows, and then COVID hit, and that really, just put a fork in everything. But the theater show is crazy. Valley Stream, there's July 30th, was one that actually stuck. It was a miraculous thing. It was like,
Yes.
I can't believe this is going to happen. And we went out and did it, and it felt normal for one night. The band was right. We were all rusty. It was kind of like, wow, we're actually, it's just weird. All right. And then we just had fun that night. We just went out.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was just
But
let loose.
great to be able to go out and just blow off some steam, that night. But then, it's been slow, crazy ever since.
Yeah, it's
I
I'm
feel-
just hoping all good things for everyone in 2021. I know it's not going to be a normal year. I know we're not going to be normal for a long time, but I do know that to do that type of show where you can like sneak in and just have some kind of, feeling of, oh yeah, I remember this. This was fun.
Wow. Like, oh my God, I forgot how tired I get in this show.
Yeah, right. Now if you go out,
Couch for 2 months now.
look back in the day.
I did come out with what I call the pandemic video. I came out with a couple.
Yes, I want to talk about that. You actually made a video and you dedicated it to all the frontline healthcare workers, law enforcement, and the military personnel. It was a beautiful video to If You Can Read My Mind, and it's lovely. I loved it.
Yeah, I did it. It was one of those things I saw at the time. Everybody was kind of doing different things and streaming. And I said, I don't I said, what can I do? Because I actually had been tapped by somebody. They were going to do a live stream, and this big live stream, which never happened. And I said, if I do it, I want to do it. I want to do something significant.
Right.
And then I said, I started recording, and I said, I want to learn a whole bunch of new songs. Let me learn a whole new set of songs. And I always record myself, and I'll record and play everything, and and then I said, what, I'm going to put out a video. And I literally shot and produced the whole thing from soup to nuts, and I filmed it all. And, everybody was in safe distance, and how we did it. And it came out great. Everybody was like, oh my God, how good it came out. And it was just literally just having the mental fortitude to get the shots. You're able to do it these days. And I edited the whole thing and recorded it, everything myself. And it came out really well. And I had a couple of friends help me with it naturally.
Yeah.
Good. It was really good. HLI was really supportive of it. They played it a lot. And my buddy, I always, joke around, but my buddy on 94.3, the Shark, Rob, if he's still listening, I don't know if he's still there. We support each other. He had a great interview today on the Shark with Wolfie Van Halen, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty amazing. But so everybody was very supportive of it, and I just hope to do some more great things. We're planning some, even him and I, and there's some things that we're going to be planning for the 2021. So,
That's good. I hope to see more of it. I liked it because it was, it's nice seeing you live with the band, but it was, it's very intimate, and I like that. I like that it's just you and your voice.
Well, I've had a couple. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to develop is a streaming show. So I think that we're going to do something maybe on a full scale and stream it, because it seems like that's the direction a lot of it's going into. Kind of like our own TV special that we're going to stream out there. And I'm going to probably go on some kind of a media tour and talk about it and get it out there, because I think that's a direction that I think that's going to be an element in what we do now, whether it's going to be end all be all. But I think I'm going to make a prediction right now. A lot of bands are going to have, I think, video production crews along with their live sound. And I think
Yeah.
they're going to wind up, because I think it really showed that, people will sit home and watch a show. And
Yeah,
if it's fully
yeah.
produced, you can do it now in your own world and stream it online.
That's what a lot of people are doing that right now, whether it be singers to comedians. Everyone's trying to stay relevant. Everyone's trying to stay busy, and it's the way to go. I mean, it just is. We don't have that many avenues to go down when we're so used to being on stage in front of an audience. As a matter of fact, I'm in my fairy godfather is Ray Negron from the New York Yankees, who put me in his show, A Yankee Miracle. And it's the story of him spray painting Yankee Stadium at 17 and graffiti, and he got caught. And instead of Steinbrenner putting him in jail, he made him a bat boy that night. And he was on the field with the Yankees, and he said, if you can get your friends to stop graffitiing my stadium and you keep good grades, I'll keep you as a bat boy. And 40 years later, he's still with the organization as a consultant now, but he believed in me enough to put me in his show. And we did it live and we traveled with it. And now we're looking into doing it virtually.
Right.
And I think that's, like I said, the avenue that everyone's got to look into now, because I don't know when we're all going to be in front of a live audience again, and God knows a sold out crowd, let alone, because
That's the whole thing too. I think that I opened it up as far as a theater. Whenever I play a theater, it's 500 to whatever it is, 1,000, 10,000. So I've done all different sizes. So you go, okay, you worry about selling out an arena. I mean, or selling out a theater. It's to me, I always worry. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But what is good is that with streaming, you will not only have what's in the theater, but now you've opened up the spectrum to people across the world that can come and sell tickets to buy it to sit home at a discounted price of what they would. So if they want to sit home, they're not doing anything, and they want to see a Billy Mira and the Hitman show, they want to see your show, they're able to. So now it gives you that flexibility. And if you're an artist that's a major national artist, this brings in a whole new revenue stream.
Oh, absolutely.
Of like if there's like an Ozzy out there or whoever, these bands, you're able to now sell tickets to every one of these shows online as well, as well as what's in the arena. So if you're sold out, buy it online. You're sold out, buy it online. So and if you're like a rabid Deadhead type of fan, the new Deadhead is going to be sitting home in front of their computer. I think.
I want to know who. I know I love when you do your impressions, and you do. I love when you do De Niro. You know that, because you just, there you go, boom, there's Bobby.
What do you want me to do?
Right in front of me.
What do you want me to do? All right, I'll do it for you. You're good, Teresa. You're good, yo.
Oh my God, I love it. How long does it take you to get down a voice? Like, how long does it depend on the person?
Some are different, like I saw when I started doing Joe Pesci, I didn't like the way I did Joe Pesci. And all of a sudden I'm doing Joe Pesci over here, and it becomes Joe Pesci. It just kind of clicks in at one point, I mean, I'm hanging out here, whatever. But but I'll start doing Joe Pesci, and it'll just I don't know what it is. You just hear it, and for a long time that was one that took me a little longer.
Is there any voice that you really couldn't get down that you wanted to?
I'm still trying to get down the best Billy Crystal voice. I'm still trying to get that voice down.
Yeah.
There, I think it's almost there. I really do. I mean, look, we can talk all night. All right, me and you, Teresa. All right, guys and girls, they can't be friends. But that's what I think. But it's there. That's always what I'm kind of working on. I do the Stallones and the typical stuff. That is stuff I pull out. But
yeah. So how did you come up with the name Billy Mira? Because everyone's seeing on their screen your given name. It's up there, William Miratello.
Why do you have to give them a name now? What's the matter with you?
Hey, I'm not the one giving it out. It's you. It's right there in front of everyone's face.
Yeah, so that's actually my God-given name. And Mira is a name that was actually I got from my uncle Bobby, who was with Sinatra, and he back in the '60s, and he traveled Sinatra. And I remember many years ago, back in the '80s, my father telling me, I was coming up with my own identity at the time, and Bobby used to travel as Bobby Mira. I think it was Bobby Mira, I think it was Bobby Mira, but he was with Sinatra. And I said, Billy Mira. I said, I was looking for, a big, long Italian voice, would sound great with what I was doing now, but I was doing rock back then. And I said, Mira.
Right.
Is that Billy Mira? Just, Billy Mira. Kind of. So I said, I'm Billy Mira now. I'm Billy Mira now. And in the beginning, it was 2 R's. And then I cut it down.
Just
And
make it shorter.
my album that came out back in the '90s, I think it's written on the album in 2 R's, and I just cut it down over the years. The comedian Billy Mira is 1 R, and that's just.
So let me ask you a question. Was there ever a time where you took a stage and just did stand up?
Oh yeah, I did, and I did, but I felt, which is kind of crazy, because I was thrust into comedy very fast. It was like I had just started. I had one of those weird careers where I was like not too much too soon, but it happened very fast. Where I was getting opportunities really fast, and I really hadn't been in the business all that long.
Right.
So to me, but I was good at it. It took me a while to get what I felt. I'm very critical of myself. I felt I was getting really good at it. I'm a naturally fun, I'm an on funny person. If I was to go on any Stern show and we were having a guest on, I'm always on funny, come out with great lines. It's always been a kind of a gift of mine. But to have a stand bit that you do straight stand up, that you are hitting it every time, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And by the time I was getting in that stride, I just felt it was exhausting, and I was getting other interests. So I was only doing it because it was an opportunity for me, I had the opportunity from Stern. So I would travel, and I had to you have to have an act. So I would do impressions, and I would talk to the audience. I did a lot of crowd work to fill up a lot of the time. And I would learn, on the plane ride over, I'd always learn a lot about the area, wherever I was going. And then I would sit in the hotel room and I'd have a drink, and I'd write stuff about the area, of whatever that area is I'd learned. I'd always ask somebody on the plane. That was a big thing I would do. I'd say, you live in wherever we're going? They would say, yes, I do. And I'd say, tell me 10 things about the area that people would find fascinating.
Right.
We were the first to, whatever.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous. And
that's good, because then you bring it up on stage and then you become very relatable.
Yeah. We invented Cinnabon here, whatever. Some stupid. So, and I'd say, really? Yeah. So then I would say, okay, great. You have a lot of stoners in your area. Okay. A lot of people took LSD in the area too. Yeah, we did that too. And then said, okay. And then tell me something about that. And tell me something about your politicians. And then go on to rant.
Well, listen, my show goes so fast, and I would love to have you back anytime you want. You come back to promote anything, talk about anything. We have about a minute left. I want people to be able to watch you, follow you. I know you're on, you have the website. It's www.billymiraandthehitmen.com. You're on Twitter at MMA Billy Mira.
My Twitter, I don't really use Instagram. I kind of use Instagram. It's more like my website.
So the best way is the website and Facebook?
Website, Facebook. I'm always adding people, and my Billy Mira and the Hitmen, Facebook. There's a couple of pages, public pages. I don't go to them.
Okay. All right.
I don't even go to them. I know I'm crazy.
That's okay. Well, listen, this goes so fast, and there's so much more I want to talk to you about, but I gotta go. You stay right there. But I want to thank everyone for watching Tea Time again. Don't forget, Google Best of Long Island Beth page, vote for Tea Time, and I'll see you next week, everybody. Ciao. Have a good week. Stay safe.